Hello crafty friends, Roxanne here from craftwagon.ca, and today I would like to share this card with you, Dragonfly Dreams. We will be featuring the stamp set Dragonfly Dreams, this one here, as well as the new BRUSHO Crystal Colors. We'll be featuring Brilliant Red and Prussian Blue. So let's get started. So the supplies you will need for today's card is some white embossing powder, as well as your Versamark ink pad and your embossing buddy, some metallic thread, the Brilliant Red and Prussian Blue BRUSHO crystals, these ones here, as well as the Dragonfly Dreams stamp set, and a paintbrush, and I have a couple of water things here because with the BRUSHO it's like a watercolor pigment. So I have two buckets. I use one to clean my brush and one that's clear, so when we're wetting the surface you have clean water. And for the paper, I use the Whisper White, the thick cardstock, and I cut it at 8.5 by 5.5 and fold it in half. And Dapper Denim is cut at 4 by 5.25. The Perfect Plum is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. And the Shimmering White cardstock is cut at 3.5 by 4 3/4. You will also need a piece of black scrap to do your greeting. So I went ahead and I embossed it with the Versamark and the silver. Enjoy your special day. And then I gave it a little flag. And that's cut at 5/8 of an inch by 3. So to set your Shimmering White up for cardstock for doing the BRUSHO, I went in ahead and put it on one of our largest clear acrylic blocks, and I'm using frog tape to hold that down, and I gave it about 1/4 of an inch border all the way around, and you just want to rub it here close to where the cardstock is, and that will help seal it in. So when the cardstock gets wet, if the water puddles away from all of that, it will keep that part clear for you. The first thing you'll need to do is to take your embossing buddy and wipe it over the Shimmering White cardstock. And then we're going to ink up the Dragonfly stamp with the Versamark ink. And we want to ink that up really good. And for my card, I did my Dragonfly on a bit of an angle. So again, that's designer's choice. And just press that down and hold it for a few seconds to get that impression. And then we're going to go ahead and use the white embossing powder and heat set that. So I'm going to go do that. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how I did the background and the wings on the butterfly. These are two different samples that I have here. This one here I kind of dotted in the background. It's pretty intense, a very vibrant color, and this one is quite a bit of a lighter wash. So we'll get started with that. So you need a clear acrylic block, or if you happen to have a paint palette with the little tubes in it, that works good too. What I'm doing right now is I'm just adding water to my acrylic block. So I'm setting this up as a palette, and I do have a paper towel here on the side to tap off any excess water. And I'm going to start with the blue first. And what I want to do is I want to take some of that BRUSHO blue, Brilliant Blue, and I have a smaller paintbrush here. I got this one with one of my paper pumpkin kits. So I'm just using that to mix in. So then I just tap that off. And so I'm going to try that right here. I'm just dotting in on the wings. Now I think it's fairly light, this one, and I think I would like it to be a bit more intense. So for this I'm going to add a bit more of the crystals. You don't really need a lot because it gets... So if I were to do this again, I probably would use less water and more crystals, so that's, you can... So you have less of one, more of the other, and that's kind of how you go ahead with that. So I'm just tapping into the wings there, like that. And then I'm going to use this one on the left to clean out. That'll be my cleaning one. And now I'm going to get a little puddle over here with my clean water here. And I just put a little tiny bit there in the corner. You could also take your aqua painter and give that a squeeze, and then you will get some water coming out of that as well. And so for this one here, I'm going to tap in the Brilliant Red, just very, very little, and some blue, because now I want to create purple. So now we're back to primary class. How do we make purple? So I'm going to mix that one with my aqua painter just to show you there. So pretty happy with that. So I'll put the lid back on that one and on this one in case I knock it over. Alright, so now I'm going to tap in the red, or the purple here, like that. And I'm trying to go into the different places where there's no blue. And right now you're probably wondering what all these little puddles are, but it's okay, they'll go away in a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to clean out my aqua painter there. And then you can, a couple of ways you can do this. One way is if you tap your paintbrush off on the paper towel, it's kind of dry. And then if you tap your paintbrush, it actually takes away the paint. And it picks up that excess paint there. It's kind of like a little magnet there, which I think is pretty cool. And then you can get a look and see if you're happy with that. And I'm looking at that thinking I might want a bit more purple over here and over here and maybe a bit there. Okay, so again, make sure you tap off your brush on the paper towel and then you can pick that up. Now if you want to go ahead and take this to the heat tool and heat set that, you could do that. To dry that part. But for the next step, I like to use a wide paintbrush because I'm doing the background now. It's a pretty big surface. So what I'm doing, I'm actually just taking the water and going all the way across to the bottom because it doesn't matter if I go over his body. But when you want to be a little bit more particular is when you're getting close to the dragonfly's wings. So I'm wetting this surface, so in watercolor, this is called a wet on wet technique. So we're wetting the background and we're putting wet paint on top of it. And this will give us that soft kind of watercolor effect. So in here, if I wanted to kind of get a little bit more in closer to the dragonfly's head and stuff, I could go ahead and use my aqua painter because of the fine tip. It gets it really detailed in there. So your paper should be fairly shiny, so I'm not sure if you can see that on screen, but it should have like a little glistening to it. And then you can go ahead and you can wet your brush a little bit, tap it off on the paper towel, and then all I'm doing is picking up the blue and just tapping it in and just watching that water kind of, wherever the water is, it's just spreading out. So that's kind of how I did this model-y one here, this one here. Okay, so just tap it in. And just, so I could go ahead and do the whole thing in blue. If I wanted to do this technique here, I just washed it in the blue. I used my aqua painter and I just back and forth and colored in strokes, and then here I added a bit more color as well. So, but for this one here, I wanted to show you this model-y look because it's a little bit of a different technique. And you can see the water's just running along there. So I'm going to clean my brush now, tap it on the paper towel, and then I'm going to come in with some purple. And again, I'm just tapping it in different spots. Now here I'm trying to get it where there is some white space, but I do want to leave a bit of white space because that's always a good thing. I'm going to try and not leave too much white when I'm near where the dragonfly's wings are, because if I put more color there, that just highlights the dragonfly's wings and makes him pop a bit more off the paper there. So I'm going to clean it because I think I want a bit more blue closer here near this part. Okay, and again, I'll just show you with the aqua painter. If you don't have a big paintbrush like that, you can take the aqua painter and you can do the same thing. And again, you can get in a little bit closer because of its detail. It's a smaller tip. So there you go. So if you're doing this, you're looking at your paper and it's kind of bubbling, don't be too alarmed. It just means the paper is very wet and saturated. But what we're going to do is we're going to let that dry. And you can either leave this to dry overnight or you can go and set it with your heat tool. So I'm going to pause the camera and go and heat set that, and then I'll be right back in a few minutes. So I'm just getting some, like I said, a little bit closer to his wing so he stands out a bit more, okay? So you see how I did that? Okay, so I just want to show you how to take the tape off. As you can see here, this one's starting to peel off from the heat of the tool. And you can reuse this tape if you like. This is frog tape. It's delicate painter's tape, and it comes in different widths. So sometimes I do bigger watercolors, so that's why my tape is so thick. And then basically, so the tip I'd like to give you for the tape is to hold it down like this and pull it back on itself, and that will help your paper not to rip. If you try and pull it up straight up, then it could rip the paper. So that's just, so if you're using other tape, I have used green painter's tape in the past and it works. I found with washi tape, it depends on the washi tape that you use, but I found that some of them are so sticky that it actually rips the paper when you're done. So. And watercolor paper, we do sell watercolor paper and that is ideal, but I wanted to show you another option if you didn't have the watercolor paper, is the shimmering white cardstock. So there you go. So now we're ready to put the card together. So how I did the greeting is I take the metallic thread, and then I wrap it around 3 fingers about 3 times, and then I cut it off like that. And I'm kind of doing this backwards, so I would put tape on your back of your greeting first before you wrap it around your fingers. It's a little bit easier. And then if you can see that, I just put that nest, I call that, on the back like that. And then I like to tuck in the ends. So again, designer's choice, I just prefer the ends to be in like that. And then I have a look at it and I like it. So then now I'm going to get my dimensionals. So today I have the mini dimensionals. So I'm going to pop one on either end here. And you can go ahead and put, sometimes I like to put the dimensionals right on top of that thread, just for security, to make sure it's going to stay there and not wiggle off when I'm done the card. So that's how I did the greeting, like that. And then obviously you're going to pull all these little guys off. And then you can just go along here. I have him covering the body, the greeting covering the body like that. Okay, let's finish this up. So we've got our Whisper White thick cardstock folded in half, and then we're going to get the Dapper Denim. And we're going to add that tape on the back there. I'm just using my tape runner, but the Fast Fuse is a good one you can use, or if you have Tombow. Some people really like the Tombow. And then now I'm doing the Perfect Plum Mat here, like that. And then I put some dimensionals on the back of my card, and now I'm just going to center that in. And you are done, your Dragonfly Dreams brush show card. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and give this card a try. Be sure to leave a comment and let me know what your favorite brush show color is. And if you like this technique, if you'd like to see some more videos, I'd love to do some more videos on the brush show with you. And we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.